We just got done spending 2 months in Croatia, and we absolutely loved our time here. We now kind of want to wrap up for you what we did while we were here, what we thought about the different towns that we visited. Also, in the end, we're going to break down the costs of what everything cost us for 2 months. When we first arrived to Split, Croatia, we honestly had set up all kinds of plans of all the islands that we wanted to go see. We were gonna rent a car. We were gonna do all kinds of stuff when we were here.
We were very ambitious.
We were. But previous to getting to Croatia, we spent 2 months in Romania, had a fantastic time.
Loved it.
But we moved around a ton. And so we were really ready for downtime.
Yeah, we went too fast, too hard for too long. So when we got to Split, we just took a break. We slowed down a little bit, and we still had a fantastic time.
We did.
We still got around a few places. We're going to share those with you right now. Okay, so we're going to start with the pros on Croatia. Now, the first thing everybody thinks about when they think about Croatia is the climate. And the climate was fantastic the whole time we were there. We were there all of September and October. And we had a couple rainy days in October, but other than that, we're about 70, 75.
Yeah, it was really nice. The other thing that is definitely a pro is the cost of living. So just to kind of in general, the cost of housing and everything is definitely affordable for tourists.
For tourists. Now, we do understand that if you're a local and you're working, it can be a bit more expensive. So we do understand that.
The other thing that we really like, and I would say this is kind of just for Europe in general, is the relaxed, just kind of chill way of life.
Yeah, it's just nice and easy. Slow down, take your time.
You're never rushed.
No, you're never rushed.
You're never rushed, yeah. We, if anything, you're going to go find a waiter to get your bill, or if you want to refill on a drink or something like that, you're not rushed out of your spot. You get to just sit and enjoy. So we've come accustomed to that. We enjoy that.
Yeah, it's been very nice, and it's also nice to know that that waiter that you have to wait for sometimes speaks English. And we've had no problems anywhere we've been with the language. Now, we do try and pick certain phrases, please and thank yous, in whatever language of whatever country we're in. Just out of respect, but English is widely spoken, and it's been very nice.
Yeah, and I would say that that's in the areas we went to. Maybe if we would have traveled to some of the smaller towns and stuff, we might have experienced something different. If you've experienced something different, let us know in the comments below, because all of the larger places, but they were also more touristy places,
absolutely,
we found English spoken pretty easily. So now on to some of the cons that we found. Honestly, there's not a whole lot of them, but there are a few. Now, climate, once again, can be a con, because in the summer months it gets really hot. So we didn't experience that so much because we were kind of on the skirting the high season. The other thing comes with that really high temperatures is the beaches are going to get really busy.
Yeah, it's very touristy, obviously. And it also gets very windy on the coast too, is something that we found. Another con that we'd like to mention is, for us foreigners, it is hard to get a long-term visa in Croatia. Now, we did a whole video on that, so if you want more information on that, you can check that video out. But it is more of a process to stay long-term in Croatia.
The other thing is that all the areas that we really visited, and a lot of the key areas people do go to, are quite touristy. So it can get really, really busy, especially in those summer months. But then in the winter months, the opposite happens, where those towns, because they very much are tourist-based, they shut down. So it then gets almost too quiet. So I don't know.
We've been on both ends of that, so it's a
we
real
honestly
thing.
kind of prefer the quiet end of it.
Okay, transportation. Now, we found transportation very good. Buses, they had Uber, taxis, the ferry system. It's all very convenient. And we found the buses especially to be very affordable.
And that was one reason Split was such a great place to base ourselves, because we were right central with all of the transportation. So we had the train station right there, we had the bus station right there, and we had all of the ferry port, and they honestly are just right in the same location. So really easy to navigate. One thing that we did find is that the ferries were pricey. So if you are coming, and that's one of the things that we found, and maybe one of the deterrents of why we didn't go and just hop to all of these islands, was, for an example, we went out to Hvar for the day, and a round trip ticket for us each was $40. So to me, that we weren't going to be doing that a whole lot.
Right, and that was just to Hvar, which isn't very far away. So you can imagine what you'd spend if you were going way out to a different place.
Right. Now that pricing on the ferry did adjust based on what time of day that you did travel, but the most convenient times and the times where most people are traveling, it is going to be those more expensive ones.
Now, with that being said, the ferry was very convenient. We found all the information we needed online. I even found how to get to Trogir via ferry by myself. I didn't need Carrie's help. It was really easy to do. And you buy those tickets as you get on the ferry. So that's another thing that made it real easy.
Yeah, the Trogir one you bought on the ferry. The other ones we were able to just buy and then show on our phones.
Yeah, so, scan code.
Yeah, really easy. They also have the ticket offices right there as well. But the one thing that I was finding when we were looking to buy our ticket to go to Hvar was those ferries were filling up. So if we would have waited and tried to get a ticket at the counter, which was a little ways from where we were staying, we were risking that we weren't going to be able to get on that one.
Right, we didn't want to walk all the way down and then not get a ticket because that would have been just a wasted walk.
A waste of steps for the day. One thing that we look for when we travel somewhere is the grocery stores. It's honestly one of the first things that we do when we get to our location. That first day, we find a grocery store. We kind of just navigate our area that we're traveling in or going to be living in. And Split had fantastic grocery stores.
Yeah, they had fantastic convenience stores too. The convenience store was a small grocery store. You know, that sounds funny, but it was really nice.
It was actually, we had what we needed.
It had everything we needed. It was less than a block away, down the elevator and to the left.
Yeah.
I really liked our Airbnb, the neighborhood we were in, the large grocery stores across the street. The convenience store was right down here. And the beach was right behind us. So
it was really an ideal location, especially for a long-term stay. The other thing they have a lot of is the fresh produce markets. They had the meat market, everything like that. But we didn't find that we used them. We would walk through them occasionally, but they were long distance or ways away from our Airbnb. So we would find ourselves going by them. We were still walking around or doing something that day, so we didn't have or want to carry around a bunch of produce and
we
stuff.
just didn't take advantage of them in a way that we would have liked to, just simply because we didn't want to carry our fruits and vegetables 2 miles back to our Airbnb.
But that is an option if you travel there, for sure.
Okay, now medical care in Croatia is pretty good. Going into Croatia, we didn't realize that Croatia is known for their dental program, and there was 4 dental offices at the bottom of our building.
Yeah, within a block. It was fantastic.
It was great. There's also a lot of pharmacies all over the place. So everything you might need, you're probably only a block away from a pharmacy.
Yeah, they were easily available. The other thing that they had that we would pass by, we never used it, was they had a tourist medical facility. So if you're uncomfortable coming into a place and finding a doctor or clinic to go to, that would be a super easy and convenient place to go. The other thing is that we got our shots there for, not at the tourist facility, but at another location in Split for our next upcoming trip to Southeast Asia. We needed quite a few shots for that.
Yeah, so that was fun.
That was fun, yeah. But we decided to do it there because when we're back into the States, it was going to cost us a lot more. So it was actually pretty affordable to get our shots when we were there. It ended up costing us about $210 each. But like I said, we needed quite a few shots. So now we're going to go through the different towns that we visited while we were in Croatia and kind of give you a breakdown of what we saw as the pros and cons of each of those locations. Now, we based ourselves in Split. And one of the things that we have already mentioned that we see as a pro, and really honestly why we put ourselves there, was the transportation. We could get to the ferry, the bus, and the trains easily. The international airport is right there. It was just a really great place to have yourself if you do want to kind of move around the area. The other thing is it's a very big city. So if there's anything that you're going to need, you're going to be able to find it in Split. So that was a real advantage for us.
Yeah, and there's also a con to that side of it, being such a big city and such a touristy place to be. A lot of cruise ships come in. You get very busy. You get 3 or 4 cruise ships in at a time, and it's very noticeable down in the old town. Now, Hvar is one of the best places you can go on a day trip out of Split, and the pros are pretty obvious. It's a beautiful little town. It's very picturesque. You can go on a short hike up a hill and look over everything. It's a really, really cute little place.
Now, with the cons, though, one of the things that Hvar is definitely known for is it's known as a party town. Now, of course, we didn't experience that when we were there. We were there in the middle of the day, and we were also there kind of skirting the on-season a little bit. So, honestly, when we were there, it was quiet. But if you come in the summer months and you want to stay in the evening, what we hear is the partying can go very late into the night or early into the morning.
Yes.
So that's just something to be aware of. The other thing that we found was the costs. So we found everything to just be more expensive in Havar. Eating out, having a beer, having ice cream, anything that you wanted to do was going to cost a little bit more. So just kind of keep that in mind as well. And the other thing that I guess I would consider probably a pretty large con, especially if you're looking for someplace to stay longer term, Havar is very isolated. It is an island, so the only way to get somewhere is you're going to have to get onto ferry. So you're within a ferry schedule and all of that. So that to me could be a downside if you need to be able to get around a lot more.
Yeah, if you're staying long term, sure. Now our next stop is Treasure. It's another great little day trip from Split. It's another cute little quiet town that I guess could be considered touristy in the summer times. Now when we were there, it was really quiet, much like Havar. So it's some place that I think I would prefer staying long term rather than Split. You can get to Split by ferry or by bus. And the bus takes about a half hour. The ferry is about an hour. So if you did want to get out to Havar or any of these other places out on the islands, you could just jump on a bus and get to Split real easy.
Yeah, and the ferry ended up costing us, it was $10 to take the ferry to get there. But it was a beautiful ride, so I can see doing that for the way that we did it.
Right.
But now if you were going to stay longer term, the bus would be a much easier and more affordable option to be able to go back and forth in between the two locations.
And the bus stop is right across the street from the ferry terminal in Split. So if you were to stay in Treasure and take the bus,
Really easy.
it drops you right there.
Now on the con side, if you are staying in Treasure and you do need to get into Split all the time, be it bus or ferry, that's going to add up over time. So you might have to just weigh if it's worth it cost-wise for that. And the other thing is because it is a smaller town and it's maybe not as touristy and stuff, it really shuts down in the winter time and gets quiet.
It's real quiet. I do want to mention too that the airport is right between Treasure and Split. So if you're flying in, that won't be a problem either way.
Yeah, you could easily we took an Uber
Yeah.
to the airport from Split, so you could probably, for maybe even less cost,
Probably
get to
even less,
Treasure.
yeah.
Now, the last town that we're going to talk about is Dubrovnik. Now, we visited Dubrovnik actually back in December of 2021, and we only spent 2 days there. We stayed right in the Old Town City Center. So Dubrovnik, a pro of Dubrovnik is absolutely a beautiful town. Very picturesque, very, I don't know, to me just walking around and just spending time in the old town, I love it there.
Yeah, probably the best sunsets we've seen in the last year and a half were from Dubrovnik.
Yeah.
We had a great time. Now, a con would be that it absolutely shuts down in the wintertime. There were a few places open while we were there, some hot dog stands, which was...
Yeah. It was actually really nice.
really
We
good.
enjoyed it. But it was very quiet.
It was
very quiet.
yeah.
I would say one of the cons for Dubrovnik, and it's a pretty big one, is it is very much a touristy town. It is fed by the cruise ship traffic, and so it gets really congested and just kind of chaotic during the daytime. One of the things that you can do, and one of the things that we did, which was great, is that you stay overnight and all that cruise ship traffic has left, and then you kind of get to enjoy that town to yourself at night. Now for us in the winter months, that was a little bit, there were places open, but it was a little bit quiet. But in the summer, I would imagine it would probably be really nice.
Yeah, now, you've been there twice. Once in the touristy season and once in the non-touristy season.
And it's crazy during touristy season because there's not just one cruise ship coming in, there's usually multiple.
Now, another con, no matter what time of year you're there, it is pretty small old town, so an afternoon is going to be plenty enough time. It's not some place you would stay for, say, a week. I'd say overnight is all you would need.
Right. Yeah. And one of the other things that we found, just because it is the touristy location, is the cost is definitely higher there. So you are going to pay more for eating out and drinking out. So
Yeah, now we did find an Irish pub right in the middle of Old Town when those beers weren't too expensive.
No, and it was really nice because it was freezing cold and it was warm in there.
Okay, well now you're probably wondering how much this cost. And we're going to tell you right now. This is going to be for 2 months. All these categories, from rent to groceries to everything we did, is for 2 months in Croatia.
So the first thing that we list off is our rent, because it is the most expensive typically thing that we have. So for our rent in Split, we had a 1-bedroom condo. It was a new condo, or a newer condo. Like we mentioned, it was about a mile outside of Old Town. Now, we really appreciated that because we were there for 2 months.
Right.
If you're only coming for a couple days, you might want to stay near the Old Town. This was close enough for us to walk. We didn't have to get transportation or anything for that. But if we did want to, there was actually a bus right out front. But our place, we absolutely loved our place in Split. It was newer, and so everything in it was nice.
Everything was perfect.
Yeah. Sometimes you look at pictures in Airbnbs, and it looks really nice in the pictures, and then you get there and a handle's falling off and things just aren't as nice as they appeared. But this place the owner went a little step above on all the items that were in there. So we really enjoyed our 2 months there.
That was the perfect Airbnb. It really was.
And so for our 2 months in this Airbnb, it was $1,995.
Now the next category is the next largest category, and that's our grocery bill. Now this includes everything we buy at the grocery store. Toilet paper, toothpaste, groceries, beer, anything we buy at the grocery store for 2 months came to $1,135. Now that's not necessarily split 50-50 between the two of us, because one of us drinks more beer than the other one does.
And snacks more.
And she snacks more than I do also.
That's not true. You turned that on me. Nice move. Now our next category, so our groceries, like he just mentioned, that's a bit more than maybe we normally would have spent. And there's a little reasoning behind that. When we mentioned before that we had traveled for 2 months previously in Romania, part of that we really enjoyed because we ate out almost every meal, or at least lunch and dinner. But by the time we got to Split, we were really over eating out. So we were ready to eat all of our meals in. And so this now entertainment, which covers any time of eating out and any beers we had out, is actually very, very small. We honestly only ate out once.
Carrie's a great cook, and she enjoys doing it. So, and I enjoy eating it too.
He does enjoy eating it, yeah. So our eating out budget was $76. So pretty minor.
You'll spend more than that, guaranteed. Now, not only did we not eat out very much, we didn't do a lot of inland day trips. There are national parks you can go to. There's just a lot of other things you can do outside the Split that don't involve the Dalmatian Islands. So keep that in mind as well.
Right. And there are plenty of day trips that you can do as well that are organized day trips to go to the islands and stuff. And honestly, they're not that pricey as long as you don't mind being under that kind of controlled setting of this is how much time you have. So it would be an option if you like something that's a little more organized.
Okay, our transportation costs. Now, these are a bit low as well because we walk everywhere. There are places we can't walk, though, obviously. We can't walk on water, so we had to take the ferry to both Trashir and Hvar. And we also took an Uber to the airport, and those came to combined $102.
So really not bad for 2 months at all. Another thing that we had looked into doing and then just decided not to, like I said, we needed a break, is renting a car. And we found, especially the time that we were there, the car rentals are actually incredibly affordable. A rental in the off season or just even skirting that season was $15 a day. Not bad at all. Now, if you are there in the summer months and you want to get a rental, it definitely goes up in price, and it was around $50. So, but still gives you that option if you do want to be able to. There's a lot of really beautiful places inland, like we mentioned, that you can do the day trips to. So it might be something that you would be interested in doing. It's something we may do in the future.
All things we plan to do this time, but we just didn't.
Next time. So now we come to our miscellaneous costs. And this time we did have a few costs. We were there for a few months, so it added up a little bit. But Brian ended up getting 2 haircuts, and that was a total of $25 for 2 haircuts.
Yeah, I need a haircut right now, too, and it's probably going to cost me more than $25.
For one haircut.
For one haircut. That's okay. And the second thing is I got 2 inhalers for my sporadic asthma. And these inhalers are the same brand as I get here in the United States, for a third the cost without insurance. So I got 2 inhalers for $34.
Pretty affordable.
I should have gotten 5.
So now we go into our monthly reoccurring costs. These are things that we just pay every month. Our first one that we have is our health insurance. Now this is a little different. We just had to renew our plan, and we both decided to add US coverage to our plan. It's something that we talked about many months ago, and it just makes us feel a lot more comfortable because we now can be in the States for a longer stretch of time. We were pretty limited before. And so we go through Cigna Global, and for both of us for 2 months was $600.
Right. Now keep in mind, if you look into Cigna Global, first of all, we don't get anything out of that if you do, but prices do vary depending on your age, your deductible, and the package that you get.
Right. And so you can really be selective of what you want and how much you want to pay, so you can adjust it. And we also recommend do the estimate online before calling into somebody, because we've talked to some people who have gotten really a much higher quote by calling in. First, just do it online.
Okay, the next expense that you might come across is your phone data plan. Now, we chose not to have one in Croatia. There are plenty of places with Wi-Fi that we could just hook onto at any time. And that's what we chose to do this time.
Yeah.
We have gotten data before in other countries, but we just didn't feel the need to this time.
Yeah. The other thing that we have is Netflix, and then we also have a VPN. We use Surfshark, and we really, to me, that's just a must-have, is having a VPN, because some people have asked us, like, why do you really need one? One of the probably better examples is if you're in another country and you say want to use your Netflix and it doesn't recognize where you're signing on from or logging in from, it won't even start up for you. In addition to that, it's also a safety measure because it's nothing identifiable to where you're located. So if you're in an airport or anything like that and you're signing on to a Wi-Fi network that you're not familiar with, it really protects you.
It keeps you protected, probably more important than Netflix.
So anyway, something to keep in mind if you are going to travel.
So our total cost for 2 months in Croatia on a budget came to $4,006 for the two of us.
Right. So that was $2,003 per month and $1,001.50 for each of us. So kept us pretty close to our budget that we wanted to stay near.
Now we know our budget will fluctuate from country to country, but we were really happy with this.
Yeah. So this wraps up our time in Croatia. We absolutely loved our time here. We do plan on coming back at some point and exploring more when we have a little more energy to do that. We did a series on each one of these locations that we've talked about. So just go to the playlist that we'll put at the end here and you can check out all of those.
Now we do have a few more videos coming up, but then after that, Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
So that's something that we're really excited for.
Very excited for that. All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Sure.